sorry about all that. That was operator error, and I apologize for all that. We hopefully we can make the rest of the podcast run smoother than what this is here. This I uh, I apologize. So
Yeah, I tell you what though,
uh,
when you're doing it live and it's just like live TV, little things happen. It can't be helped. But anyway, the show must go
yeah,
on, right?
yeah. So
Yes,
um,
sir.
I don't even remember where we were at. So sight fishing, the James River and stuff like that. So do you like fishing bodies of water that have the current over like Highland reservoirs?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. It doesn't matter where I go, just as long as there's a lot of bass in it. I got to the point where I love just fishing shallow, and
Right,
then and then I got to a point where it was just I wanted to fish, any way I could catch,
right,
or if I was fishing or sight fishing or cranking a plug or however I had to catch them. That's the way that I wanted to fish.
Right, right.
right,
And that's the way you have to be, that's the way it was back in the day. Now it's kind of a one-sided kind of coin, you know what I'm saying? I mean
yeah,
if you don't put your trolling motor over and just start zigzagging around out in the middle of the lake, you really don't catch nothing anymore.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And if you don't come out nowadays, it seems like if you don't come back to the boat ramp with the crick in your neck, you're not catching fish. So, but um, So I do want we're kind of hitting on the forward facing sonar and stuff like that. I do want to ask you though, uh, what is your screen? Because Bass went to where you can only have so many inches of screen. So how do you have your screen set up this year?
so this year, I'm going to be running 2 16s up front and 112 in the back. Just most of the time, it just depends what kind of where I'm going or where I'm at. But I'll either take one of the 16s off the front, leave the 212s in the back, or I'll just run a chart because my practice is over. I kind of know where I'm going and what I'm going to be doing. So there's not going to be much
Right,
looking around. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right.
right.
I'm gonna, use as much as I can with my Lowrance screens. I mean, I was thinking about maybe putting a 9 back there, so it'd be whatever. But I'm like, man, I ain't. I'm just gonna roll with it, see what it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is, and I mean, and people think though if you have that forward facing sonar, I seen the best video uh, about the forward facing sonar, and it's the guy. He said, "Man, I don't know what's going on, but people say once I put this forward facing sonar on, the fish are just going to be jumping in my boat." But he says I turned the thing on, and I don't see them jumping in my boat. So
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, yeah. And so, but
yeah, it's definitely changed the world of bass fishing.
yeah, and what um and Norman and I we talked about it on the podcast and stuff. To me, it's been more of a learning tool than really going out there and making a difference in my bass, like the catches that I have. I probably have caught a little bit more than what I have, but I've been able to learn so much of the behavior of a
Right.
bass over the past 2.5, 3 years of having it on my boat.
Yeah,
Um, and but I'm an angler like you that I rather if I can be within 12 feet and shallower, that's where I'd rather be. That is my go-to zone, 12 feet and shallow. I'd rather just throw a Texas rig, shaky head or something, or crank it and just do something shallow myself. And so,
yeah, yeah. Being
uh,
done with it.
yeah, yeah, and to me, it's just kind of going back to my roots and just going back. And I mean, that's how we learned, um, and so that's just how I feel comfortable, especially if I'm in a tournament setting. That I want to be as comfortable as possible and I don't have the thousands of hours that some of these guys have on that forward facing sonar. I don't think I want to have the 1,000 hours on there. But I do want to ask you though, uh, what what has been your favorite lake that you have been able to, as a pro angler, that you've been able to go to? What has been your favorite lake?
Just it's for me to be able to go fish.
Just to go out and fish.
I mean, Lake Champlain has always been my favorite.
Right.
You can go, you can fish really shallow and catch them, catch largemouth, and then go right on the out on the grass line right out there and catch big smallmouth.
Yeah.
So that would have to
And
be probably my favorite.
Now, how about your least favorite that you've been to on tour that after the tournament gets over, you just say, "Man, I hope we never go back here."
The Sabine River.
Sabine River.
Sabine River. I tell
Uh,
her when we've asked a couple of people that, and we happened to ask Ike that question, and he told us, Jacob, he says it is not a lake that I don't like. He says it is a state. He says I don't like going to Florida. So
Florida has Ike's number.
yeah, yeah.
I
So, but
don't know.
I do want to talk though about the classic, and we kind of hit a little bit before we went live the first time. What does it mean to you to be able to go to the classic? This is here in a month. What, a month? Not quite a month and a half that you're going to be fishing in your ninth classic.
Yeah.
I mean, you've done very well in the classics. I mean, you've put yourself in contentions, and probably over half of them that you've been in contentions. But what does it mean to you to go to the Bassmaster Classic? Excuse me.
It's just something that you qualify for that nobody can take that away.
Right.
It's the Super Bowl of bass fishing. I mean, it's just like this Sunday we're going to have a new Super Bowl champion, and those football teams that play for it and play and play and play just trying to make it. And a lot of guys never get to make it to the Super Bowl. So
Right.
it's a blessing, and it's one of those things. Like I said, it's they can't take it away, but man, the Classic is a different tournament. It's just one of those. It's one of those things that can really get you down, or it can really keep you up in pace. Because you want to do so
Right.
good. There's no second place in that. It's just you're only fishing for one spot. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
you go out there and give it all you got, and sometimes it beats you down like a drum, and then sometimes it lifts you up up in the air. So it's
Right.
it's something that I look forward to every year. I hate to miss one.
Oh yeah. And you've done very well. I mean, what is it? This is what your ninth season as at with Bassmasters,
Yep.
and you've made every single one of them. What is
Yep.
it? What is your best, or what is like your favorite part of the classic? I mean, because the launch, I mean, is something else. I mean, to have everybody out there, which I mean, last year in Tulsa, and then this year, what is it? Y'all are gonna? It's like a 90 minute travel time in between.
Yeah.
Um, but what is it about the classic that kind of that gets you going? I mean, because there's a lot of things that's going on at the classic that is, I mean, exciting for everybody. And but what is it? What is your favorite part of the classic?
Getting ready to weigh in that Coliseum when right before they call your name and your music comes on and they roll you out there and through that through the screen or the curtain, and you get to see all the fans that come out there, just not for me but for everybody. The world of bass fishing, and to hear Mercer, calling your name or the guy that announced your name, and then Mercer's kind of going through some stats and stuff like that. So that to me is the best part about it. That's something that I'll never forget is when they turn those lights on, they turn your music on, and you roll out there in that Coliseum or auditorium. It's like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what music are you going to have this year playing? Because I know some guys change it up every year. Shane LaHue always.
I'm still sticking with Hank Williams' "Country State of Mind."
There you
Oh
go.
man, you can't beat that. You can't beat that. And
No,
so, um, I mean,
No,
and it's fitting. It is. I mean, it's definitely fitting, and especially from where you're living and all that. I mean, it's just all just country boys and stuff like that out there just hammering away. So,
now,
um,
no, yeah.
this being your ninth classic, do you find, kind of been there, done that with the classic? Do you find it now, going into your ninth, it being a little bit easier as far as knowing what to expect? Because and we talked to several guys that basically fish their first classic. And they said they're just so overwhelmed with all the different directions because, like you said, it is a different tournament by far versus a regular season, and you can get overwhelmed going into your first of all the different directions you're going to be pulled. The media day is completely. Do you find it easier going into your ninth, kind of knowing what to expect, than say when it was your first?
Oh, absolutely. The way that Bass runs it and the way that they do on the off days and all that stuff. It's a marathon tournament,
Yeah,
and you just prepare yourself and you get as much rest as you can. On those if you get 4 hours, you better be resting or doing something with some tackle or something like that because they keep you busy, which is a good thing because if I'm going to be there for that long, I at least want to be doing something at all times
yeah,
where
yeah,
it's
right,
beneficial to doing that. But if you just take your time, pace it, I mean, whoever's coming, they should be fine. It's
yeah,
but
yeah,
but once you go through it one time, it's kind of the same every time.
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and you get that fever of I don't want to miss it. And I tell you this, I don't want to see you at the expo. So that's how I feel. So so
Yeah,
because I know if
usually if I don't make it, that Sunday my head hurts. We done went
yeah,
out and went to partying or something. So yeah,
right.
I definitely like fishing on Championship Sunday.
Yeah, that's because then at least you know that I mean if you're fishing on Sunday that that pocketbook's going to look pretty good going in and but it also look a lot better though with you holding up that Ray Scott trophy though too.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah, that trophy would mean everything, and the money is one thing. The money could come and go, but that trophy will never leave the house.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
And that's just something that we strive for. It's just to be able to have that title, to be able to say, "Hey, I was a Bassmaster Classic champion." One of my good
Yeah,
friends, Hank Cherry's done it twice.
yeah, yeah,
So it's something that I strive for. It's something I look forward to every year, and you build so much, I guess, animosity getting there to it, and then it's like it's there and then it's gone. Then,
yeah.
then you're then you're preparing for the next one, or trying to make it to the next one. So like I said, it happens every year. But man, does it come? It comes really slow, but man, does it leave fast.
All
yeah.
right. Now, do like during the year, are you keeping track of like where you are for the classic, or do you just kind of wait till the end of the year and kind of see how the cards have fell out there in the end of the year?
Sometimes I'll take a peek at it just to make sure. But you kind of have that feeling that if you haven't got a check in two of them or something like that, then
Right.
it's time to start stepping up the games. But
Right.
usually you have a kind of a mindset about where you're at,
Yeah.
and the good thing with Bass, they're always putting out the Angler of the Year stuff, and it's always getting updates and stuff like that. So you kind of know what's going on the whole time, but I mean, looking at the point, a lot of guys don't look at the points. And I know some guys that were leading England year, they wouldn't look at them or, so I'm not that kind of guy. I want to know exactly kind of where I'm at all times, but
Right.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Now, is there a lake this year that you are looking forward to?
I mean, I'm looking forward to going to Lake Okeechobee. I kind of like getting down there and being able to, get around a bunch of vegetation and those suckers hide and all. They have a really good tendency to hide down there, and I like getting in there and beating around in there and trying to find them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, uh, I have fished Okeechobee once. I guess you can kind of say that. I mean, I just went and I was fishing off the bank and stuff. And here, I seen something here this past week, and I think it was an open that was on Okeechobee. Or there was a tournament here this past week or two that was on Okeechobee that there was like four boats that was running through the boat channel. And I mean, and this dude was, well, y'all know how like the boat channel is maybe a boat and a half wide or whatever. And the dude just hammered right. I mean, four boats just went whoa, 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 right past him. And what, because people were giving those anglers a hard time. What is it about the boat channel that people were giving? Because they were saying that they should have slowed down in that boat channel because the dude had half of his boat was in the boat channel.
And I'll say one thing
So
Yeah.
before Jacob answers too is that guy that everybody's giving a hard time to that actually went by him. He was 100% in the right. He did slow down, but he could not come off pad because below him was about a foot of water, and he was actually going
okay,
through the channel where
right,
that guy was fishing. And if he slowed down, he'd be done. He'd have to idle for about a mile or two before he had enough water to get
yeah,
back up.
yeah. But he had like four other boats behind him too. So if he
Yeah,
would have
and
slowed down,
yeah,
then
and
it
then
could have
all
just
All
been a
right, so
traffic.
so I
exactly.
seen that video. I seen the video that of the guy that did that, or the four boats or whatever. The guy sat down and think, well, over there to the left is nothing but a lily pad field. It's the same depth on that
Yeah,
lily pad field
yeah,
as is in that. So I'm not going to say the guy was wrong by sitting down in the boat lane, but the other guy could have gave him a little bit more room. He don't
yeah,
have to run right down that boat lane.
no,
You,
Right,
you know,
right.
so but I understand where the guy wanted to sit down in clean water, and so technically there's nobody really to blame in that situation. It is what it is. They kind of all use pretty good caution. The guy went around him. I mean, it ain't nothing but a boat wake.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I would rather them. I'd rather those four boats run by me in that shallow water than sit down and try to plow out there and then try to get
yeah,
back on plane because they're going to muddy the whole area
All
up.
right,
If
they would
there's a
have
bunch of
ruined it.
fish in
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
So
because
yes,
that's
I would agree. And if it would have been me and I'd have sat down in that boat lane, I'd have sat off to the right like that guy did, and I'd have stood up and told them guys to just come on by.
yeah,
See,
right.
so, but there's nothing that guy could be mad about. They didn't really do nothing wrong, but they could have gave him a little bit more room.
Yeah, and I guess like my question is because I really couldn't understand if it was a boat lane and half of his boat was in the boat lane that I was like I just didn't understand like really like that it was really only a foot deep. And I mean, and when Norman said that, it makes a lot of sense because I mean they would have ruined that whole spot
yeah,
for that guy
yeah,
if
yeah.
he would have shut down.
Yes, he would have.
And so um but what in 2014 when you won the Rookie of the Year, um, what did did everything just happen to just go 100% Jacob's way, or were you having to like fight your way to it? Because we've heard from other anglers and stuff that they've won. They're like, man, it was a dogfight the whole season. And then we've heard other people's that they just said, man, I couldn't have done anything wrong. I did not miss a fish or anything like that. What was your Rookie of the Year Um, How did that season go for you?
So I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't even know they gave a Rookie of the Year away. It was at the last tournament, and I was in like third in the Angler of the Year points,
Yeah.
and I uh, I go up there on stage and they hand me this Angler of the Year trophy or Rookie of the Year trophy. I didn't even know they had that. So to answer your question, there wasn't no like pressure on me or anything about about having Rookie of the Year or being Rookie of the Year in the Bassmaster Elite Series. Um, would it have made a difference? Probably not, because I don't let that stuff kind of bother me. I just it is like my whole mindset about bass fishing. It is what it is. If it's meant to be, it's going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
You put yourself, you work hard, put yourself in the situations, and make the right decisions. Then it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You can't hold nothing back. You can't blame it on nobody but yourself. And
Exactly.
and that was the way that year went. So it was it was a fun year. I can tell you that. I won Toledo Bend. That was my first year. I got to fish the elites. I won Toledo Bend. Sight fishing a little bit, catching them off a shad spawn. But I mean, there was really nothing in there that really made me change anything about like Rookie of the Year or anything.
Right.
I will say something. Back then, Rookie of the Year got a trophy, a little bitty trophy. Now they get 10 grand. So yeah,
Yeah.
I always
Eh,
miss out on the good stuff.
yeah. Um, we was talking earlier, and you said something about Hartwell that you have done well on Hartwell, and which y'all are going back to Hartwell this year. And what is it about Hartwell that you really enjoy fishing?
Man, the thing is, and this is, I like any lake like that. Like Hartwell has a big abundance of bass, so you can catch them from the dam all the way to Clemson, all the way up to Georgia, as far as you want to go. So there's no really set area on the lake that's any better than anything else. So
Right.
nobody's really bundled up. We're all spread out across the whole lake, and I think that's what makes it so good. And plus, they got big spotted bass in there and big largemouth. They're
Right.
herring chasers. I got to fish a lot of lakes that have herring lakes, and where how they kind of dictate because of some buddies and stuff that I have in South Carolina. But it's clear. It's deep. It's got a lot of standing timber, and it's got a lot of bass in it. And that's just
Yeah.
what I like about it.
Now, like usually, like we'll see, like some of the anglers will kind of sit off and just kind of wait until those bass blow up on them herons, and for the most part, they're throwing top water, something top water on them blue herons. Uh, is that kind of your ball game that you would try to do, just to kind of sit back and kind of just, if you're around, make sure that you're around that blue heron? Are you sitting and waiting on that? Are you going and maybe pitching some docks or whatever, and going shallow?
It just depends on if those herring are spawning or not really good, because I mean it doesn't take long. First thing and first thing in the morning, you take off running around the lake and you pull up some of them red clay points and all that, and then, kind of like Murray or whatever. But it just depends on what's going on that time of year. I mean, it could be that's what's going to take it over. I mean, it could be the fish are still out, kind of roaming around, schooling maybe out in the middle on some of those things, or spawning or going down the bank or whatever. But like everybody always asks me the same questions. What do you think about going to this lake at this time of year? You'll never ever hear me say, "Well, man, I can't wait to look there because they're going to be doing this." I never rig any rods or anything. I always get there and see what the watercolor looks like, what the water temperature is, the time of year.
Right.
Those things is what I key on. So I never had a set mentality of going to any lake or reservoir or
Right.
river that we're going to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that mentality helps you out so much, and especially to where you're going in there fresh. You're allowing the lake and the fish to tell you what they're wanting, to where you're not going in with the game plan of, well, this is how I'm going to catch them, and if that don't happen, then you just wasted a tournament because you went planning on, well, this is how I caught them here last year, or what last time we were here, and I think that's probably one of the best answers that we've heard. That just kind of going with a blank slate and allowing the water and the fish to tell you what they're wanting.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Just like
do you go ahead? Go ahead.
the best thing that I can ever give to anybody in the world of bass fishing is an open mind and not be scared to change.
Right.
Yeah, because and which we see in tournaments and stuff like that, to where, and especially the younger anglers and stuff, that they may go to a lake fishing high school or college, that they want to fish from the past, and so it's and I think that kind of hinders them in that tournament when they go and fish from the past.
Yeah, absolutely. You can never fish. You can never fish off past history. I mean, you can check past history. It maybe it'll maybe whatever, but 9 times out of 10, it's always finding something new.
Right, right. Um, so what do you do? Do you what are your hobbies outside of fishing? Are you just all year fishing?
I run a duck hunting operation in Tappahannock, Virginia. So I got ducks. As soon as I get done with fishing, I'm deer hunting, duck hunting, rabbit hunting. I turkey hunt in the spring, and I like to play golf.
Heck yeah. And none of that was anything that has to do with indoors. It's all keeping you outdoors.
Yeah, the only time I'm usually indoors is if it's raining or snowing.
Yeah,
Right.
I think a
Oh,
couple of times. I think a
fair
couple of
share.
times I called you right after the end of your season. I called you on the phone. You answered, and you said, I think you were dove hunting. And I told you, I'm like, man, I hope your ringer was turned down and you didn't spook everything around you.
Yeah,
So do do you hunt with dogs? I see that's behind you. You've got looks like some labs behind you on that picture.
yeah. I got a black lab that I duck hunt with, but this 2 days, 3 days ago, I went rabbit hunting with Woo Daves. Woo came up to the plantation. We ended up killing, I don't know, 20 or 25 rabbits, and his dogs ran them. Him and a buddy of his named Johnny Jones. And it's just one of those things where you get to spend some time with great friends and the camaraderie that goes on.
Yeah,
But yeah, we deer hunt with dogs a little bit. We rabbit hunt with dogs a little bit, but most of the time it's usually bow hunting or muzzleloader hunting, just steel hunting, sitting in a stand.
Right, right. Now, I got a story when with you talking about hunting with dogs. My dad's dad, my grandpa, he used to have. They used to do some quail hunting, and a guy that worked with him was talking about like how he had the best hunting dog that is out there, and will track anything down, will go get anything, and so he told my grandpa. He said, don't bring your dog. Well, my grandpa's like, well, I'm going to bring the dog. We'll see how your dog does. And so he, so they go along this little brush line, and the dog points out the quail. He gives him the signal to go spook it up. It spooked it up, and then the guns start going off. That dog tucked tail and ran up underneath the truck and howled the rest of the time they were hunting.
Yeah,
So my grandpa said that dog's useless now. He says you just need to put that dog on the front porch.
yeah, yeah. Well, they do that. They're pretty much ruined.
Yeah, yeah. So so would if you could fish all year round, or if you could hunt all year round, what would you rather do?
So see, that's kind of a trick question. So if I could fish all year round, or because basically now I can fish all year round.
Right,
But
right.
if I could turkey hunt all year round and do it for a living, that's what I would do. Spring gobbler hunt.
What is it? Because I've never turkey hunted. What is it about turkey hunting that uh, that has like attracts you to turkey hunting?
Man, I don't know. It's just something about in the spring. Well, you get out there with a cup of coffee in your hand. You sit on the front of the truck. Everything starts waking up, and then he cuts loose down in that holler down there, or up there on the side of a ridge, or on the edge of a field, or something. And then two or three of them get the gobbling. To me, there's just no better sound in the world.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I again because I've never experienced that. I think that'd be a blast just to see. But I've seen like television shows and videos, YouTube videos of turkey hunting, and to where uh, they hear them on a ridge, and then they're able to call them. I mean, from a ways away, they're able to call that turkey over there to them. It's just phenomenal to me.
Yep. It's just a special time of year, and it's just something I grew up doing. I've been able to take a lot of people turkey hunting and a lot of friends, and it's just something I look forward to every year.
Yep, man. So if after all this, I know I've got on my YouTube, I've got let's see, 700 watching on my YouTube channel, or not YouTube, on my Facebook. I can't see the numbers and stuff after we had the computer mishap. Um, but um, if a kid comes up to you and says, Jacob, what do I need to focus on to be able to become a pro angler? What are you telling that angler?
First of all, he better have a good education. He better have something to be able to fall back on because, and I say this and I get this all the time from parents say, man, my kid is the best bass fisherman that's going to be, he's going to be the next whatever. And I'll say, man, I really, really hope so because,
Yeah,
we welcome kids in this sport and the way the college kids and all that stuff, the college tournaments, the high school tournaments stuff, they're the future of our sport, which is going to keep it alive. But I always say, make sure they have an education, make sure they have something they can fall back on because if you put 150 kids in a room, only probably one or two of them are going to make it.
yeah. If and even if that, I mean, because uh, I mean, just to make it to that level, I mean, it takes a lot of dedication and hard work, and it's not just because a lot of people that we have talked to um about trying to help their kids and stuff, in which we've never been on the platform that you're on, and but they think that it's just y'all go to a tournament, you're fishing 4 days, you may practice 2 days, and that's all what it's all about. And they don't realize how much time that you have driving to the place, how much hours that you have on the lake during practice that you're not even throwing, you don't even have a rod in hand because you're looking for bait, you're looking for some kind of structure. They don't realize the work that you have to put into it. They just think that, well, I'm just going to go out there and fish a 3 day, 4 day tournament, and that's what it's all about. And that's by far what it is, isn't
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, that sounds good on paper, but
it?
just to be able to go bass fish for a living and do all this stuff. But like I said, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time away from family and friends. But the part about it is you're getting to see a lot of the country. You're getting to see a lot of different places, fish a lot of different places. So, in my opinion, if that's what you want to do, then strive for it. Go do it.
Yeah,
Set a goal and go for that goal because I can tell you right now, it's been pretty good. To
yeah,
be able to do some of the things that I've done and been around to meet the people that I've got to meet as far as sponsors. just friends of where I go, the friends and everybody that I get to meet along the way, and the fans, man. That's what makes this whole sport. We're just like you said. We're at the launch of the Bassmaster Classic, and there's 5 or 6 thousand people up here in the pouring down rain out there with umbrellas
Yeah,
watching us take off to go do something that we love and they love together. So
yeah.
hats off to the fans and everybody that does it that supports every bass fisherman that's out there. It's God when God knew exactly what He was doing when He created them bass. I can promise you that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I guarantee it. Now, there's, and in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, um, there is not a sport, especially like a professional sport, that kind of caters to the fans more and gives the fans more accessibility to the anglers or the pro than what bass fishing does. I mean, because the first tournament that I ever went to, I was so surprised, like at the weigh-ins, like um, how the fans can intertwine and mingle with the anglers. And I've been to many different sporting events to where all you may be able to interact with that or with a pro athlete is seeing them coming and going off the field or off the ice or whatever. And I think that bass fishing has done very well with kind of having both the fans and the anglers kind of intertwine.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. I mean, that's what they come down there for is to be able to, to see us and talk to us and get some mind, pick our minds a little bit of how we're feeling and what's going on, And now with, fantasy fishing and all that stuff that goes on with all that stuff, so it's an awesome way for the fans to be able to intermingle with us.
Right. Now, you said fantasy fishing. Now, I kind of want a little insider. What tournament should I put you on my top as my fantasy fishing?
I mean. The St. Johns River in Florida are probably going to be pretty good, but we're going to be able to sight fish hopefully at Hartwell. But I would have to say the Chowan River or the Passatank River down in Elizabeth City.
Oh man, all right, I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to send you a message.
Yeah, that'll be good.
So, um, let's see, Brenton. Uh, hey, Brenton. On that question, I'm not going to ask, but if you want to ask him that, send him a message on his social media, and he'll be able uh, to answer that.
Was it a bad one?
So no. He was asking how much for duck hunting guide, and so I didn't want
Oh
to
well,
kind of.
I mean, you can ask me that. I'll tell him right here. It's so we
Okay.
run 6 guys. It's $13,200 for an afternoon and a morning hunt with all kinds of food, lodging, shells, the whole 9 yards.
So there you go, Brenton. But Jacob, I do want to. We don't want to hold you up too much longer because I mean we had technical issues and, um, but I do want to give you a little opportunity to talk about your sponsors.
Yes, sir.
And so because we know, like, and you kind of hit on it earlier that I mean if it was not for your sponsors and being loyal to you and as a family, that a lot of y'all anglers could not be able to do what you do, and that they help out. So we want to be able to have a chance and opportunity to for you to talk about your sponsors.
Well, we'll start off with the longest one I've had, which is Mercury Outboards, Mercury Motors. I've been with Mercury now for 22 years. I've run a Mercury for 22 years. Flawless. The motors are flawless, and I've got to meet a lot of great people um, through Mercury, which leads into Lowrance. I've been with Lowrance for my whole career. I started with Lawrence, and I will end with Lawrence. So it's hats off to them. Cheryl's always at the tournaments and takes care of us. With the stuff in the tournament trailers, and Tyrell's there with Mercury, and they just take care of us. It's like I said, it's like a great big family. Even if I don't have nothing wrong, I always stop by there in the trailer and try to talk to them a little bit, just see how their day's going. We
Yeah.
don't always just want to go up there and have them work on something, but they're a great family. And then I got with Yamamoto Baits and Phoenix Rods and Buckeye Lures and Hook. I'm with Hook Apparel. I get to wear the best apparel. I get to fish with the Cinco. How many fish have ever been caught on a Cinco?
Ain't no telling.
With Buckeye, I got my own swim jig out that just came out last year. It's called the Brush Panda, which there'll be a lot of fish caught on that this year. And there's Woods and Waters, Livingston Lures. I've been with Livingston for I think since 2006.
Wow.
So they've been a great part of my family and my success. And then the best part of all, I get to run the best platform ever this year. This is my 4th year with Falcon Boats, and man, what an absolute! It's the best boat I've ever sat down in. I've ever fished out of for the ride, the speed, the just the performance that comes with it. So
Wow.
it's top notch. So if you're looking for a new boat, go get you a Falcon, put you a Mercury on the back of it, put you some Lawrence, a Ghost trolling motor up front. Get you some Cincos or some Buckeye lures and go fishing, and Livingston lures and go fishing and just have fun. That's the whole part about it. We're serious when we go do this, but the guys that are not having fun doing it, those are the guys that are not doing really well. You still have to have fun with something that you enjoy doing.
Yeah. So you said Mercury, and you said that you go and holler at them, even if you don't have any issues and stuff like that. I've had on my boats, I've had Mercury motors, and I've thoroughly enjoyed Mercury motors. But if I can get you to do me a favor, my cousin is Dan Tucker with Yamaha.
Uh-huh.
So I imagine, and I see the smile on your face a little bit. So,
yep.
So next time you see him, if you can just give him a little hard time for me and stuff, and just keep it going. Because I believe
he has a
in.
nickname, doesn't he? What do they call him? Spooner?
I know they call him Boner.
Boner, that's right. I was getting you to say it. So
yeah. They either call him Boner or Bone, but
he's a good guy, man. He's helped me out over the years. When I was fishing some Everstarts before that, and I think I did fish 1 year of FLW. I did run a Yamaha when I was coming up, and Dan and all those guys, Monkey and all those guys took really good care of me, man. And you that's what it's all about, man. They're top notch people. I've been, they've been around forever, just like me. I feel like, one of the old guys now, but those guys are the best. And like I said, we couldn't do what we do without them.
Yeah. So when you said that, and I was like, I gotta tell him to give old Dan a hard time. And
don't worry, I will give him a hard time.
So, but let's see. Matt Dillon says, "What age do you retire your lab for duck hunting?"
My last lab I had was 16. He was a chocolate lab. I retired him when he was like 14. But usually labs don't really live that long. I was very exceptional to have my chocolate live that long. But it just depends on till he quits going. That's what. No, if he's just a house pet and a duck hunting lab, then that's the decision you got to make. But my dogs are hunting dogs. That's where they go. They never come in the house. And Scooby did. He was kind of a pet, but from now on, my dogs are hunting dogs. So until he quits going and retrieving ducks, he's going to hunt every day he can.
Yeah. So said, "Is your black lab whistle trained?"
Yes, to a certain extent. He's still he's still got a lot of hard headedness in him. He's kind of like me. So yeah, yeah, but yeah, he is whistle trained. He sits a lot. I mean, I can make him just about do whatever he needs to do, but he's got a spot in there where he's really really hard headed sometimes.
Right. So, and what can you tell everybody like your social media platforms and stuff to where people can follow you?
It's just Jacob Prosnick underscore Prosnick for my Instagram, I think, and then just Jacob Prosnick for Facebook.
Yep.
Actually,
So,
there's probably two for Facebook. One of them is my pro, and then one of them is me. I have two kind of accounts, but they're attached to the same thing. So if you send me one, you'll
right.
get on both of them.
Right. So, and what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to, in the description of this, we will link all of his stuff. So, if you can go and smash that follow button and that like button and help him out and let him know that you've seen him here on Deck Talk Podcast. Um, but again, we don't want to hold you too much longer. We know that you got a busy day coming up here tomorrow. So we don't want to hold you up too much longer. But we do have one question, Jacob, that we ask everybody that comes on here. And so we've got to ask you this question. And Norman,
All right.
take it away, brother.
All right, man. We appreciate it once again, Jacob, for sharing the time with us tonight. And we always enjoy talking fishing with you every time we see you. But
Thanks.
and remember also next week's episode, we're going to have Cal Lane on. So don't miss that episode. And again, we will be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But anyway, Jacob, if you were to be able to have one person to fish with for the day on your boat, and this person could be passed away or still with us, who would that person be that you would want to have on your boat to fish with for the day, and why would you want to fish with them?
Oh man, you're gonna make me tear up. It would be my dad, and my dad's been gone for like 8 years now, and I'd love to just be able to fish one more day with him.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that is awesome. So, and you can't go wrong with that. We've been doing this podcast for almost 3 years, and I think we've asked that question to every episode, maybe except for like the first two or three. But and we've gotten different answers. Every time that we've asked it, we have gotten different answers, and you cannot go wrong with that. But guys, make sure you go and check out Jacob's social media. Definitely go hit that follow and like button. We appreciate you watching, especially after the technical error that we had. I think it had to do with my computer because it just started clicking things, and I did not know what was going on, guys. But make sure you go do that. Follow him, and because this year's going to be exciting, and I think if the classic sets up to where it's going to be a fairly warm classic there, I think Jacob's going to be. We're going to be seeing him fishing on Sunday for sure, and I think that it's going to be some big sacks coming in on the classic this year. And we're going to be seeing Jacob hold some big Texas fish
That's right.
in the classic. And hopefully we're going to be seeing him hold that Ray Scott trophy up. And if he does, then we're just going to have to be like, hey, we need you to come back on so we can get him a blue trophy. So,
Exactly.
but guys, thank you again for watching. I do not know how many we had. Usually we average, Jacob, in between 1,100 to 1,400 people on, and I know my Facebook had over 700. So, but I don't know on the other. We're on 9 different platforms. So, but go hit that follow button and like button on Jacob's, and hope y'all have a blessed day. And we will see you out on the water, guys.
Everybody live the passion.
Yeah, thank you guys. Y'all be good.
Yes, sir. Thanks,
You too.
Jacob.
All right.
Oh.